What is up, everybody? Welcome into the On the Bluff podcast. Gabe Kuhn here with you. You'll notice normal co-host is out. He's out today, but he has to work overtime. We bring in Kenny Stubblefield. Kenny Stubblefield's been joining us every week. We started that about a few weeks ago. But Kenny Stubblefield's going to be with me co-hosting today. Kenny, what's happening, brother?
My brother, you good, man? I love this weather. We're about to get some rain on Wednesday, but I love this weather.
I don't like the tornadic activity and everything like that. But this when we get rain and it's like 60 to 70, it's beautiful. It is.
Yeah,
beautiful.
like last night's thunderstorms were pretty incredible. We're recording this on Monday night. Last night, Sunday night's overnight thunderstorms were pretty wild. It freaked my dog out. I'll just say that. My dog was not happy.
Taylor was playing bunco last night with her bunco group. I've never heard of bunco till I got to the South. Are you familiar with bunco?
I have never played. Tracy has never played, but it was a family staple with my mom and my dad. They have a group that they play bunco with every single month.
There's two. There's bunco and there's skillet dice. I know skillet dice.
Don't know skillet
dice. But Taylor was playing bunco till late last night, and as soon as she's like, "Yeah, I'm headed home," it's like 10:30. Right. Yeah, she's like, I lost. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you should not get on the road right now. Like, getting on the road, that is not ideal. And what's funny? The first, so we had, it would have been early last week. We had a little bit of tornadic activity, like a little sketchy out in like Arlington and Millington.
Right.
I watched the night before. So it was on a Monday. I watched the night before. I watched the Joplin documentary, the new one on Netflix.
Oh, dude, yes.
I've been on edge dealing with these storms and everything.
How crazy is that documentary, by the way?
I sort of knew about it. Obviously, I'm from this. I was in high school. I remember my football team. We like pulled together and donated money to the Joplin Relief Fund and all that stuff, but I'm familiar with it. But seeing like the documentary is nuts. Like people talking about getting pulled out of their cars by the tornado. Like it's hard. Like Twister is kind of real in that fact. Or Twister,
it's crazy.
The new one. It's wild. It really is wild. And the fact that did you watch it?
Yes, we watched it yesterday. Actually, yesterday afternoon.
The infections that the people that got pulled out of their cars, like that's crazy. Like flesh eat. There was 8 people who had like this flesh eating bacteria, and only 3 survived. That's insane, man. Insane. But you had a good weekend.
Yeah, man. I was actually in your neck of the woods. I was in Cape Girardeau all weekend.
I wouldn't call that my neck of the woods, but I've been known to show up for a weekend. Cape Girardeau.
Been known to show up over there and cause some havoc, wreak some havoc over there.
Junior and senior used to party down in Cape.
Oh,
yeah.
Cape
it's about an hour and a half away as opposed to Columbia, Missouri, like 3.5 hours across the state.
Well, we were in Cape. My daughter had a volleyball tournament, and so we spent the entire time at the brand new Cape Girardeau Sportsplex, and it was fun. We had a good time.
How's their Sportsplex, nice?
Beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Okay.
Really cool. Brand new. It's a lot like MSEC, but smaller. And so it's a really cool environment, man. Really cool place. I don't know why, but St. Louis and that Missouri area, St. Louis in particular, are known for their volleyball. Their volleyball is upper tier elite across the country. In terms of club ball, in terms of high school ball. I don't know why, but
random question. Have you heard of the Rockwood Thunder?
I have not.
Okay. That's my area. Like all the people from my high school, Lafayette High School, and the girls used to go there. My high school won 4 straight state titles.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, like they're badass. The Rockwood Thunder is like, I think they were ranked every year I was in high school, top 5 nationally.
Yeah,
in women's volleyball. Like I don't know what it is. They're just badass out there.
No, it is crazy. The volleyball in St. Louis is crazy.
And Kenny, I used to work out with these girls. Like straight. Like shout out to my guy Brian Fitzmaurice Performance out there in I guess that's Baldwin, Missouri. Yeah. Those girls used to literally hang with us.
Yeah.
Not squatting the same weight, but
well, of course,
shit, man. They would. when we got to like conditioning, they're outdoing us crazy. It's insane. I don't know what it is about the state of Missouri and women's volleyball. No idea.
So my daughter plays for the 13 for a 13 age group for the Memphis Juniors, which is one of the better clubs in Memphis, right? Like it is a good club, has a lot of history. My wife played for Memphis Juniors when she was in middle school to high school. Her aunt, my wife's sister, played for juniors. So there's a lot of history with juniors. And it's funny because like we went and played against a couple of St. Louis teams, and brother, like
they're different.
It's just different, man. Like they're just different. Like it was some of the like 13s is one of those age groups where the girls start to grow into their bodies and they start to like kind of figure out how to like play ball.
And some are there already. They're grown women.
Like play ball athletically. You know the difference when you're just kind of out there and you're plodding around trying to figure out your body, trying to figure out your movements, your athleticism, all those kind of things, and then it just clicks for some people. Every one of those girls was like, damn, NCAA, like jumping, like killing balls that were. I was like hitting 10-foot line kills. Like it was.
The hitters on the women's team for Lafayette High School used to be 6'4" and above.
Yeah,
like every single one of them.
Yeah,
they had like 3 or 4.
Yeah,
and they would sub them. I don't understand it. I have no idea. But random thing before we hop into it?
Yeah.
Did I tell you about my Lafayette High School basketball team?
No.
This is an insane story. So they won their district, which is the same district as like Christian Brothers, CBC, and Chaminade Prep. And Chaminade Prep is who they were going to play, and that's where Jason Tatum went and Brad.
Beal. I was going to ask you where Jason went. Yeah.
I remember watching games against Brad Beal. When I was in high school. Like my good buddy's brother had to cover him, and he accepted the challenge, but he still, Brad Beal still put up 40.
Oh, of course.
But my high school won the district and went to the state tournament to the semifinal game.
Yeah,
and there were 5 players, including their second leading scorer, who decided to go on spring break instead of playing in the semifinal for the state game against Chaminade. Is that not insane? I mean, obviously I'm from West County, St. Louis, right. Well-to-do, maybe a little spoiled, that whole thing. But it's like, how does that happen?
I don't know,
That's
man.
insane. As a parent, could you imagine allowing your kid to do that?
No,
that would be literally ridiculous.
No, it was incredible. I love it. I've become a full-on volleyball dad, dude, and it is so much fun. Like Selah has gotten so much better over this year. And
you're not the overbearing one, right? Like
no, I have family members that are, and they have been coming to the games, and I spend the majority of my time babysitting them.
You'll leave it to them to be overbearing.
Well, I try not to let them, because their overbearing sometimes turns onto our girls, and that's not okay with me. So there's a little bit of like, hey, let's chill, let's calm it down, right? Sure. Like, but no, I'm more of the behind the bleachers kind of standing there, like watching. I'll get into it every once in a while, but I don't really go too nuts. I try not to.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, last week, if you heard me and Christian talk about it on the show, I at least am not super into the transfer portal and trying to figure out the targets for Penny this offseason. There's been a few, and they've already had visits.
Yes.
But we know it's just there's 1,200 plus guys in there. It's just hard for me to keep up. But I know one guy that does keep up. That's Kenny Stubblefield. Kenny, holler at me. Let's start here.
Well, I try to keep up with as little as possible because it's just so many names, right?
I mean, I wait till at this point, I'm to the point where it's like commit, and then we'll go from there.
So the names that I'm going to talk to you about that I want to discuss with you are names that have come on a visit already. And that's important to me, right? Like anybody can sit there. Like I'll give you an example. Last year, Arthur Kaluma was a big name that the Tigers, there were Tiger fans. We had Tiger fans believing that Arthur Kaluma was about to sign with Memphis, and he ultimately didn't, ended up in Texas. Well, it turns out Arthur Kaluma's people were floating Memphis, and Memphis had never even reached out to Arthur Kaluma. Like there was no legs,
bargaining chip basically
whatsoever to Memphis and Arthur Kaluma's, talking. And but we were convinced Arthur Kaluma's definitely coming to Memphis. And so that taught me a lot. That taught me a lot about how to handle this year. if a player comes on a visit, then we'll start having discussions because
they're not going to commit until they get to the city of Memphis.
Right.
And meet everybody.
And I will say this. This is a kind of a PSA to all Tiger fans. This is not high school recruiting. Back in the day, like prior to the portal, when Penny was really going hard in the high school, ranks recruiting, the idea, the mentality is that if Penny got a kid on campus, they would commit. And if they didn't commit, then it probably wasn't going to happen for Memphis. And there was a lot of truth to that in a lot of ways. Like you would see a player come in on a visit and he would commit as he left. And so the question was always like, why did he not commit? He's clearly not coming here. He's going somewhere else. Transfer portal recruiting is so different than high school recruiting because you're talking about 24, 25-year-old grown men who have been through these processes and their priorities have shifted. Like a lot of guys they come in and they look at and they do a visit, they talk to the coaches, they do all that kind of stuff. High school kids look at the venues and they go, or the facilities and go, oh my gosh, like I want to go there. Right now, at this point, it's about the dollars, right?
Yeah,
let's make the dollars make sense. And so you have a lot of guys who have been coming in to do visits, and none of them have committed. I want to give a PSA to Tiger fans. That does not mean that Memphis is still not in the lead or heavy for them or really in the mix. Just because they haven't committed yet doesn't mean they're not coming to Memphis. So I just want to throw that out there. These are grown men that are going to absolutely go through the entirety of the process before they make their decision public. Like that's just the way it is. But I wanted to talk to you. It seems clear to me that Penny is targeting a very specific kind of player, and it's a player that we talked about last week on the show. What they missed a lot, while Colby Rogers was such a fantastic player in spurts for the Tigers last year, just his shooting, he was an elite shooter. What he lacked in was size. He was a 6'3", 6'4" small forward who struggled defending bigger guards, who struggled defending the wing players that you're going to find. And Penny made it clear by the visits that he's had, by the people that he's contacting, and that have come in, to see the university, the kind of player that he's targeting. And he's targeting these bigger, defensive-minded wings that have size and height to them. I want to give you an example. Amari Monroe, 6'7", 215-pound guard from Quinnipiac, averaged 18.1 points, 9.1 rebounds, 1.6 assists, 2.3 steals, shot 40.5% from the field from the 2-point area, and then 29.3% from the 3-point line. But he's a 6'5", 6'7", 217, 220-pound guy, bigger kid. Another name that has really intrigued me is a guy named Jamichael Stillwell from Milwaukee. 6'8", 235-pound forward. 13.0 points per game, 10.7 rebounds, 1.4 assists, 46.8% from the 2-point, 28.6% from the 3-point line. But just a bigger defensive-minded kid. You like that for Penny?
I enjoy it considering how small the backcourt was this year. Let's be honest. Colby Rogers, for those that are saying, well, he's listed at 6'6". He ain't no 6'6".
No, he's not.
That's a guy that I'm taller than, quite frankly.
He's
6'3". I'm probably an inch taller than the guy. Kenny's probably an inch taller than the guy. Now, he shot the 3-ball well, and he did some really good things, Colby Rogers did, but he doesn't have the size to really match up with other threes, and that's what they were asking him to do on a consistent basis. Right. Did he work his ass off to do it? Yeah. He worked on the defensive end. But I think Penny, clearly with those two guys you're talking about, and looking at their 3-point percentage, he's looking for sort of that slashing big, third big, if you will,
right? That
plays great defense, is switchable out there on the perimeter. And, we talked about it last week. They just need to get bigger size. They need to get taller and more athletic out there on the perimeter. And I agree with reaching out to guys like that. Now, do I want to see the 3-point percentage higher than 28 and 29%?
Yes.
Absolutely.
We would.
But I think there's a very clear type. He's looking for guys similar to him in a way.
Yeah.
Right. To sort of man that 3 spot. And the thing is, if you look at their points per game at smaller schools, not insane. They're not going to come in here and score 15 points per game if they're scoring 13 at Milwaukee.
Right.
But you already seemingly, and
Right.
we'll see. He did sort of repost what Memphis basketball put out today, but you have your PJ Haggerty. You have your guy that's going to go fill it up at a high level.
Yeah, we kind of buried the lead a little bit on this, right? Like, did you think that post? So for all those who hadn't seen it, go to Memphis basketball's Twitter, Instagram, all their social medias. They put out an underdogs video. It was kind of a highlight package of PJ Haggerty. Was that on?
Mhm.
Was that just the creative team at Memphis basketball just woke up and said, you know what, let's make a PJ Haggerty post? Or do you think that meant something?
I don't know. I don't know how to view it. You're the creative, so you would know how all that works. If Penny came to them and said, "Hey, show him some love today," but I think it's all of that. Like I think it's you need to highlight your best player from this year, keep fans interested, and also I would imagine there's some level of love that they're trying to show to PJ Haggerty. That's something that Penny's been saying. I mean, it was at the end of the year he was at his coach's show,
right,
and said, we may not be able to pony up the $3 million some of these blue bloods are going to offer PJ, but what we can offer is continuity and love. And
yep.
I think that sort of falls in line. Now, is that going to be enough to keep him? We'll see. I feel pretty confident, though.
The fact that he's not in the transfer portal yet tells me a lot.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, because let's not forget, just last year when he left Tulsa, he committed to Memphis immediately.
Immediately.
Like, was the Tigers' first commitment in the portal.
Right. Right.
I'll say this as a creative, as a person who understands how to market things and how to promote things and all that kind of stuff. I'll just say this, that video was a message for two groups of people, Tiger fans and people on visits. That's what that was about. That was about.
So you think there's an inkling he's coming back? It's like we feel pretty confident.
All signs are pointing to PJ coming back to Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
All signs are pointing to he hasn't declared for the draft. He has not entered the transfer portal. All those things are necessary for him to leave if he wants to leave. Those things haven't happened. So I would say if the idea was that he was going to leave, I think that the balls would have already started rolling down the hill, if that makes sense. So you look at these guys and you look at Amari Monroe, JaMychal Stillwell, you look at all these guys that are coming into visits. Is it Quincy? I don't even know how you
Quincy
say it.
Ballard.
Quincy Ballard is one.
That's that handshake line with Wichita State,
right?
Hey,
well, then another one, the Barry kid from Temple that came in for a visit, 6'4" slasher defender. The kid, he killed Memphis when Temple beat Memphis this year. Just put a hurting on Memphis. I would say a lot of those guys are with the focus of we have PJ Haggerty as the centerpiece. We're building around him. And I think that's why you've seen Penny so quickly jumping into the portal. You see the Tigers involved with everybody.
Right. And because you have to rebuild the roster. You're going to have 7, 8 transfers.
Yeah.
One thing with PJ Carter out now in the transfer portal too, like you need to find some shooting.
You do.
So we'll see what they do in coming days. I do like them reaching out to Quincy Ballard though from Wichita State.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that.
What do you think? Big as hell, double machine.
Yeah.
And you've seen him play. And it sort of fits the way Penny has gone about sort of taking players off other teams in conference.
What do they call them? The AAC Avengers?
Yeah, random thought here. Because I've been having this conversation with people, and we're going to get to the NCAA tournament. There's 4 1 seeds in the Final Four, second time in history that's ever been done outside of 2008. Like the growing divide between a place like Memphis and a place like Duke, or a place like, you know what I mean? Like where, look at the AAC last year. It just got, all of its talent got just taken away, right? Where it's like these guys grow to be juniors and seniors, and here's Duke, and here's North Carolina, and here's St. John's, and here's all these really good basketball schools just pulling these guys away. Aaron Scott at St. John's, Chris Youngblood at Alabama. He was at South Florida last year. It's funny to see like a place like Memphis and a place like UAB, a lot of these schools in the AAC, like there's tiers to this thing, right? Because what those schools, the higher blue bloods, are doing to places like Memphis and UAB are doing to Quinnipiac, and they're doing it to Milwaukee. Yeah. Right. Like it's just crazy, the tiers, and how it's sort of like a trickle down economics effect, if you will. It's very weird to see how this is playing out.
But I don't see blue bloods coming into Memphis and stealing kids away from
Not
Memphis.
from Memphis in particular, but they did
Right.
it at South Florida. They
Yeah.
did it at North Texas. They
Right.
did it at Tulane.
Yeah.
They find guys and they're like, "Come on, you're a junior, or senior. Let's go win a championship."
I feel like Memphis athletics, both Tiger basketball and Tiger football, that get really impacted by the portal on a yearly basis. You see players coming to Memphis, and very few players impact players leaving to transfer up a level.
You see them transfer up to a power conference, but not like, what was it, Keontae Kennedy to Cal or something like that. Like,
Does
you
that
see
count?
that.
Does that
But
count?
and that's lateral, if not a step down.
I feel like so. I feel like, yeah.
But like other schools in this conference absolutely do have that happen.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, Memphis is taking some of them, right? Memphis is
Sure.
Penny, the handshake line. That's what we know about. So the Quincy Ballard thing you talked about, the Barry kid from Temple. I have one more guy that I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
About. Well, two guys. It was reported, and I hesitate to even bring it up, but it was reported this past week.
I know where you're going.
That
before you even say the name, can I just say no?
Okay, let's talk about it. Former Memphis Tiger recruit, commit on campus for a while. Obviously, we know he had the issues that he had. Mikey Williams transferred away from Memphis, went and played at UCF for a year, stayed completely, was out of trouble, injured a little bit, came in, played some minutes for UCF, went into the portal. Now, let's not forget, he also went on the Pivot podcast and talked glowingly about the University of Memphis and Penny Hardaway and how desperately he wanted
Sucking
to
up a little bit.
learn. I'm telling you, man, his public relations people are phenomenal. That Pivot podcast was a bat signal to Penny Hardaway. Like, come and get me, bro. And so it's been reported that Penny Hardaway and Mikey Williams are in contact with each other. What are your thoughts on that?
My general thoughts, no. I'm not saying Mikey won't keep himself out of trouble for his entire college career. Like, I'm not saying he won't. Maybe he learned a lot from his experience. That's how these things work.
Right.
My general thoughts, no. But I will say, like, I think context matters, right? Like, if you're bringing in Mikey, and you're telling him and he agrees that, like, you're going to have to earn playing time, sure. But knowing their relationship and knowing how much Penny likes his skill set, I don't know if that's particularly the case.
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, my general thoughts, no. Like, don't get into the drama. Whenever you stay drama free, you have a good season. Look at 2022, 23 in this season. But if you feel super confident about the context with which he's coming into this program, then I guess okay. But like, I would just stay away from it. If I were in Penny's shoes, I'd stay away from it. But I'm not. I'm not in his shoes.
I'll go devil's advocate on this. Clearly, he made a mistake while he was living in San Diego. The storylines behind it help me understand a little bit about what he was probably feeling in that moment. Now, it doesn't take away from the mistakes that he made, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's been adjudicated. That's been dealt with. That is behind him. He has stayed out of trouble for this entirety of his freshman year at UCF. Played ball, was out there when he was available to play due to injury. Was he great? No. So like, I think more so.
You think he's been humbled? Like, that's the real question.
And so I think this is what makes me interested in this situation is there's clearly a level of affinity for on both sides, right? Mikey and Penny both have an affinity towards each other. Mikey has stayed clear of the drama this year. You didn't hear a single thing about him getting into any kind of trouble, even on his social media stuff. You didn't see him getting into it or doing anything crazy. The thing where I'm glad we're at with this story is that I feel like he has earned the right to be judged on, is he a good fit with Memphis because of the basketball, not necessarily the drama. Does that make sense?
No, I know exactly what you're saying, but it's been a year.
Yeah.
So you can't ignore what happened in the past
100%.
from a drama standpoint. But again, like what I said, I think is what you're saying. Like, what's the context with which he is coming into this program? Because
Yes.
originally, as a 4 or 5 star, whatever he was, it's like he's going to be future of the program, stay
Right.
around, be a point guard, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's not what he is now. So I think, can I be honest? I think that Mikey would be really well served to go humble himself at a smaller school and be their lead guy. That's what I think.
Well, I think the basketball would dictate that he would probably come in if he were to come to Memphis. And that is not, he's not even coming on a visit. He's not doing anything like
right.
If he were to come here, he would be the third guard behind PJ Haggerty and Dante Harris, right?
Like if he goes to like a smaller school, that's the true rehabilitation process that we go through these days. And like coaches go through that. Like look at Will Wade at McNeese State and like Rick Pitino at Iona. And like, I think that would be the best thing. And then if he balls at a smaller school this offseason, you may have an in with him.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't think there's any other schools, with the gravitas of UCF or Memphis that are going to really recruit him this cycle.
Right. I'm interested. Like I really do. Like I want to give the kid, not because I don't have any vested desire to see him at Memphis. I think there's a part of me that goes, I want to see him succeed. Right.
Sure.
Like I want to see him be successful.
I don't like seeing guys who have their bright shining stars just fall off the face of the earth.
Nobody wants that for him
and do it to themselves. Like I don't want to see that. And I will say this too. Let's be honest about the situation. Like the first time around, Laird Veach eventually, and like that athletic department said, nah, like it isn't worth it. You really think like Ed Scott and Tim Duncan are even think like I don't think they give Penny free will, but they'll also be like, Penny, I don't know if this is the way to go. Like just like they did this offseason with coaches and cleaning up the program and all that. I just don't see those guys really being on board with it, even though they will give Penny the right of way.
Yeah,
for the most part, because that's what's been reported. I just don't see those guys being into it.
I think that's a distinct possibility. And truth be told, great. If that's the decision they make, if that's the decision the administration decides, things have been going so well that we don't want to have any of those kinds of potential distractions, potential drama attached to it, then I think you tip your cap and say, got you. You know what I'm saying? Right. I don't think having these preliminary conversations is a bad thing because I hear you. I think everybody deserves to have the chance to do something with their lives.
When you're building a roster from the ground up, like everything should be on the table. But
100%.
Just be wary of your decisions. And
one more guy before we move on. It was announced today that one Yaxel Lindenborg is in the draft and that he entered the transfer portal. So I have it on good authority that Yaxel is going into the draft process with the idea that if he can secure a top lottery pick in the draft, that he will.
He ain't a lottery pick, though. Let's be honest. Unless
that's what he wants. That's what he wants, and so that's what he's going in hoping to get. And if he can get a guaranteed lottery pick position, then he'll stay. But if he can't, he'll come back to college, withdraw from the draft, come back to college, and will transfer somewhere. Does Memphis have a shot with Yaxel Lindenborg?
There's history there. I don't know. It would be strange. It would be cool though. It would be cool. It would be an interesting storyline. But I don't know I don't think so. You probably know more about the ins and outs of it than me. But there's been some trash talk back and forth. Hating on each other entire 2 or 3 years. I just don't see it.
How much of that track? You're a high level athlete. You play. Right. But football players are different, right? Like most offensive linemen aren't trash talking other offensive or defensive linemen in conference on social media and things like that. You guys have the opportunity for the 60 minutes that you're out there to beat each other's ass for that entire time. So it's not like you guys need to talk trash, but I think too much has been made of that. The nut dunk, the talking trash. Like, I just don't think that there's as much heat there about this university from Yaxel's side. I think trash talking is just a part of life, bro.
Right.
Like,
That's fair. That's fair. I do think, though, he'll be like a late first-round pick. And in that case, he may adjust his thought process. Maybe I won't be a lottery pick, even though his agent will probably try to keep him in by saying he's a lottery pick.
Right.
I think he'll be a late first-round pick. And he should go to the NBA draft. He's got the NBA body, NBA skill set.
He's ready.
All that. I don't think he'll be playing college next year, personally. That's just my opinion.
I would say I would lean towards that also. But let me tell you the names of the teams that have reached out to him so far. It's been reported. Okay. These are the names of the teams. Are you ready for this juggernaut of a list for real?
Yeah.
Arkansas, Kentucky, BYU, Auburn, Michigan, Alabama, Ole Miss.
Yeah, Memphis ain't getting him in that.
Ole Miss, Georgetown, Memphis.
Memphis wouldn't be in that. I don't think Memphis would win that battle. Maybe. Who knows?
Let me tell you something, man.
You get beat enough by one team, maybe you're like, I can't beat him, join him. Look at Kevin Durant.
I'll say this to you, man. I have it on good authority that Yaxel has there's strong interest in Memphis on Yaxel's side.
Okay. But if Duke offered, it's like it's a little different, So we'll see. I think he'll stay in the NBA draft first of all.
Yeah.
And then if he does transfer, I think it'll be to high major team that's been in the Sweet 16 recently, just like all the teams you named,
right?
Basically. So it would be awesome to have Yaxel Lindenborg. He is a hell of a player, though.
Whew.
Unreal. Drop the hate for a second. That guy can freaking play. He has all the tools.
The hate, listen, I would hope that the majority of the hate that's given to him is because there's respect there. Because that guy is a hell.
That guy could kick our ass any given game when we play him.
Let's be real about it. He did kick our ass. Honestly, the stat lines that he put up against Memphis and against the rest of the country was unbelievable. He's such a fantastic ball player.
Yep.
It's just Dane got the better of him in those 3 matchups, right? Yep. Like he just got the better of him. And I think that should show you where Dane is in terms of his individual talent. But man, I would do a lot of really bad things to get Yaxel Lindenborg on the University of Memphis Tiger basketball program.
Unforgivable things.
Yeah, man. But I'm excited because we said we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the portal. We spent 30 minutes on it, so this is great. But
it's me and you though.
Yeah, it's me and you. We do this. But I'll say this: I am interested in. I'm intrigued by what Penny is doing. He's clearly targeting a certain type of player, bringing them in for visits. He's clearly targeting these guys with showing PJ Haggerty, this is what I'm going to put around you. Mm-hmm. I do think that if PJ were to leave Memphis, he would have already done it. I do believe that. Things are looking good for Memphis right now, man. Yep. I really am excited.
He's got the formula. Let's be honest. Defensive mindset, good guys, just like good character. Like he's last year I thought was a good example of him starting to understand the shoes that he's walking in, right? 100%. Like just and be consistent with it. All right, now let's do this. Let's go ahead and grab a break. When we come back, we're going to hop into the hot 3. We have a coaching firing to talk about with the Grizzlies, an interim coach to talk about, and then we have the NCAA tournament, so stick around.
For you to fire Jenkins in 9-game stuff, I think that was to see what you got in Tuomas. The only problem with that is I don't know if you really could judge these last 9 games in the playoffs. It's like that's not enough time, and you really gave him his first head coaching job in the thick of the season.
I feel like he should be the prohibitive favorite to be the coach of next year, and I just at this point would think it's a mistake just because I want veteran teams and I want a veteran coach.
She is in like the worst possible situation for anyone to succeed in these last 8 games, where it's like, hey man, good. We're going to see what we got in 8 games where you are fighting for your life, literally for playoff seeding. And you are also playing one of the hardest schedules the rest of the way.
Tune into The Daily Grind with your host, Lute Hatmaker, every Monday through Friday at 7:30 a.m. live on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? If you know anything about Bluff City Media and the content creators, the podcasters on this network, you know that most of us love to bet on sports. And right now, it's the best time of the year to do it. March Madness is here, and every game is a chance to cash in. From the first tip-off to the Final Four, every night promises high-stakes matchups wild finishes, and big-time betting opportunities. And MyBookie's Bet and Get is back to sweeten the deal. Place a cash bet on March Madness and get a surprise reward. Free bets, cash back, bonus chips. You never know what's coming next. Whether it's a number one seed rolling or an underdog shocking the world, smart bettors know the real money is made one game at a time. Sign up now with promo code MM50 and you can boost your bankroll with a deposit bonus designed to help you make the most of your money. If you don't want a bonus, that's okay too. Just make sure you let them know that Bluff City Media sent you there. Bet on every game, anytime, from anywhere, only with MyBookie. Yes, sir.
Get into it.
Let's do it, man. You ready?
Yes, of course.
Let's get to the hot three. We had some interesting things happen in the land of Grizzlies-dom. Taylor Jenkins was fired. Taylor Jenkins was fired this week. Friday night, I was in Missouri, and the news drops that Taylor Jenkins had been fired, and I said, "Holy shit! Like, what is happening? This is crazy." Were you as surprised as I was, Gabe?
All right, let's talk about the actual firing itself and why. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Team hadn't looked good enough. And here's the way I think if you're Zach Kleiman, you rationalize just the firing in general. Taylor Jenkins, when he came here, was never a lead assistant for anybody. Never was. He's not a offensive coach. He had to bring Tuomas lisalo, we'll talk about him in a little bit, in to revolutionize and make the offense supposedly better. I know there's some people that disagree that it's gotten better, but we'll talk about that. He's not a defensive coordinator, even though his defenses have been good. Like, since he's been the Grizzlies head coach, they have been good, right? I think mostly when you look at Taylor Jenkins, he's sort of all the above, but like effort and intensity and development are the things he does well. And let's focus on that development for this conversation. You're at a point in your sort of arc as a team and a franchise where development is not something you need to focus on.
Right.
And if he's not getting the effort he needs every night from everybody, which he wasn't, that team looked lifeless on that 5-game road trip against Western Conference opponents. It's just like, what am I really keeping you around for? Mm-hmm. So there's that. And also, like, I think Xavier Tillman, when he talked with like Celtics reporters, when they asked him about Taylor Jenkins, I think it makes a whole lot of sense. Like, he was surprised with the timing, which we'll get to in a second, but
right.
Look at the offseason. They laid the groundwork for this. Zach Kleiman laid the groundwork. He told him, get rid of your staff and find new guys. Like, that's not a coincidence. They told him to do that. Get it right, get it going, or you're going to be out of a job. So the why and the understanding that he was going to get fired, it was always there, at least for Grizzlies fans. It's weird to see the national media because I don't think they watch the Grizzlies every night, and we do. So, like, in town, we get it. Out of town, they don't quite get it. But, yeah, I look at it, the reasoning behind it, and I get it. The timing is the surprising part. 9 games before the playoffs.
Yeah.
That sort of looking at Zach Kleiman, it's like, dude, we're gonna have to look at you a little harder. Yeah. Look at the trade deadline.
Yeah, that
was not like a sense of urgency to go win a championship to trade away what would probably be your 2 best perimeter defenders when your perimeter defense sucks right now, and Jake LaRavia and Marcus Smart. And I think this fits in line. It's like 9 games before the playoffs, you're getting rid of a guy. Nothing Zach Kleiman has done to this point as the Grizzlies general manager has pointed to, we're ready to go get it right now.
Yeah.
So the timing fits in line with what he always does, but I think we need to start questioning that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there are questions about timing out if you believe that the organization has operated as a championship contending organization for the last year, and I don't think they have. I think that they have made decisions saying this is what we're, especially at the trade deadline. How many times did Zach Kleiman come out and say, we are banking on our guys, my guys, right. Gigi Jackson, Jalen Wells, and Zach Edey. Those are my guys. Vince Williams, those are my guys. Like, I am banking on them. And with that, do I think that those guys have the potential to be starting or even really good role bench contributors for a championship level team? Yes, but not this year.
Yeah, but future oriented. That's the thing. It's like,
right.
I don't know. We're at the point with Zach Kleiman with this firing. It's like next year,
right?
That switch needs to flip to like every move we make is for a championship.
Yes.
And I listen, at a small market, when you have the luck that they've had and develop, maybe not all luck, some skill in developing players, and you have Jaron, and you have Dez, and you have Ja, like
right.
You just look at that and like next year, that switch needs to flip on. Like we got to get going. I understand again, like lengthening the window, but
right.
That's a foolish way to go about things. Just consistently talk about contending and being in that window, because windows close as fast as they open.
They do.
Oklahoma City Thunder, Utah Jazz with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Like there's so many examples,
right?
Recent examples of that.
I do. I feel like that the deficiencies of Taylor Jenkins' game that you really described in great detail, and I think you're spot on, is less of it is those decisions. Coaches are not important, but they're important. I know that's weird. They're important for very distinct reasons in the NBA. No coach has ever shot the ball or grabbed a rebound or filled a lane on defense or assisted to the open person. Like, they don't do that. Players do that. And so a lot of the blame for the Grizzlies and the way that they've played this especially since the All-Star break, goes towards the players. But there are things that coaches, championship level coaches, can do mid-game,
right,
in game, that can absolutely sway the momentum, sway the how the game, the manipulation of the game. That's what coaches are good at doing.
If I go back and I just like put my finger on one thing with Taylor Jenkins, like I hated this about him. I liked a lot about him.
Yes.
250 win seasons in a row, had that team playing hard even in a lost season last year. Like there's a lot of things I like about the guy. Really good at development. What I couldn't stand is his lack of feel.
Yes.
In late game situations.
Yes.
Take a timeout, don't take a timeout. What's my rotation going to look like? Bringing back Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. with 4 minutes left to go in a tight game. Like, that is my biggest issue, is the coaching with feel.
Yes.
All the other stuff I thought was a little overblown through his tenure, to be honest with you. And I will say this, DeMichael Cole wrote an interesting article in the Commercial Appeal. You should go read it.
Yes.
And it was less about like the team being lost by Taylor Jenkins. It was more about Zach Kleiman and Taylor Jenkins, who have a great relationship, like starting to disagree on fundamental things, on how guys needed to be deployed.
Right.
And it didn't really have much to do with rotations. I sort of look back, and this tracks because I look at the Zach Edey pick.
Right.
Number 9 overall.
That's the big one, right? That's the big one, right?
Yeah. And it's like Taylor Jenkins wanted to deploy this offense with no high ball screens.
Yeah.
And if you saw who got fired with him, it's Noah LaRoche. Noah LaRoche was the guy he brought in for offense outside of Tuomas lisalo. And I think people blame Tuomas for the lack of high pick and roll. But if you look at Tomas's track record winning the EuroLeague, he loves pick and roll.
Yep.
Loves screening.
Yeah.
For a ball handler. So, like, I think there was a fundamental disagreement there, but there was obviously more than that. But that one highlights it to me. It's like Zach Edey was never highlighted in Taylor Jenkins' system and how he wanted to do things this year. And he was picked at number 9 overall. So, obviously more disagreements, but I think, if we get back to it, the idea that Zach Kleiman and Taylor Jenkins' relationship had run its course from a fundamental understanding point of view, how we want to run this team, I think that tracks.
Yeah, what the DNA of the team is right. Like, and I think that's why Zach Kleiman is the GM. He gets to make those choices, right? Like, and I think that I will say this: I think that Zach put all of his eggs in the basket of Tuomas lisalo. I think he is the guy that, moving forward, as silly as it sounds, I think Taylor was a lame dunk.
Speculate on this, Kenny.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you straight up. Like, let's speculate. It's fine.
I like speculation.
Tuomas wasn't a Taylor Jenkins hire.
No,
right?
Zach Kleiman hire.
Maybe he signed off on it, but that had to be a Zach Kleiman hire.
It was.
Yeah, so like in the end of the day, it's like it's weird to see people not speculate on that. It seems pretty obvious to me.
Yeah. Well, and imagine you don't go and hire a guy like Tuomas Lisalo and say, "Hey, come over here and be an assistant." Right? Like I definitely
head coach in waiting was always kind of the thought.
And you got to wonder if and this is going to sound silly, but you got to wonder if some of the decisions that Taylor Jenkins made this year in terms of how he utilized some of the guys and utilized some of the rotations and how he played certain guys in his offense, you got to wonder if there was a level of, I'm a lamed up coach and I'm going to go out my way. Like, honestly,
sure. Maybe,
you know what I'm saying? And so you got to wonder if you look at it and you just go, okay, imagine being in Taylor's position, knowing that the guy that's your lead assistant
you're trying to prove something wrong,
has been hired as your replacement.
Right.
And what are you trying to prove? And I do think, and this is just me, I don't have any intel on this, any insight on this, outside of this is what I believe to be true. I think that Taylor Jenkins made some decisions that were hella petty in this year to prove a point to Zach Kleiman. And I think very clearly Zach Kleiman said, let's do this now instead of wait until the off season.
And getting to the next thing though, we may see a interim coach bump from this team.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Tuomas Lisalo, and we got to figure out his name. I was told today it's Tuomas. Tuomas Lisalo was the head coach for a team in Paris. I don't remember the exact name of the team. Was a European EuroLeague Coach of the Year, champ, phenomenal coach. Was named the interim head coach for the remaining 9 games of the season and into the playoffs. Let me ask you this, man. Did you find it odd that John Morant came back the very next game?
I mean, we had 7 guys on the injury report, and then 2,
and now we have 0.
Yeah. So I don't want to speculate, but
let's speculate.
Let's read the tea leaves. I thought that was interesting, to say the least.
How wild is that? Like,
it's wild. It really is.
Tuomas comes out and he talks about his star players playing to their strengths.
But in the same, he sort of spoke out of both sides of his mouth, though, because he did say we want to be different in how we deploy our rotations than everybody else, because everybody else plays their stars forever. Yeah. He said we still think we can win with depth, but I get what you mean.
We'll see what happens. I mean, they played. I don't think any of the starters played over 34 minutes in the first game against the Lakers.
I'll say this: I thought it looked immediately better.
It did,
and that could just be John Morant was back on the floor, and
100% could be just that.
But
Zach,
I thought the effort was there. Defense did not look good still, and that's something they need to get a hold of. But I thought it looked offensively better. There was more high ball screens. You had Zach Edey in the dunker spot on a consistent basis, putting him in spots where you can get offensive rebounds and get putbacks. That goes back to the conversation we had about Taylor Jenkins and Zach Kleiman, maybe the disagreement over Zach Edey. Right. And I know that the Lakers are small and don't really have a front court. But Tuomas Lisalo in game 1 immediately was like, we're going to make Zach Edey a part of this game plan. And
they put him back in the starting position.
And highlight him as a player. I thought that was pretty obvious.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't want to overreact to one game or one half or whatever, but it was it seemed like a very intentional thing that they did with Zach Edey.
What do you think about do you think that this is an audition, or do you think he's the guy for next year?
I absolutely think it's an audition.
Do you?
100%. Going back to what I said, I think this was a Zach Kleiman hire from the get-go that Taylor Jenkins just signed off on. You wanted your half-court offense to get better. He has been able to help that, coming in as the offensive coordinator and lead assistant. And he's had a lot of success. Yeah. And he seems to get through the players well. I always thought this. Yeah. From the get-go, from the jump this year, that he could be the next guy. Now, here's my question I want to ask you. Do you want to see a full search still?
I do, but I don't think it's going to happen. I want to clarify. I do want to clarify. When I say is it an audition, or what I mean by is this an audition with the opportunity for the Grizzlies to go and do a national search, or will Tuomas Lisalo be the head coach for the Grizzlies next year?
I
I think
If
he's
I
the
was
head coach
betting
for the
on
Grizzlies
somebody, it
next
would be Tuomas Lisalo to be the coach next year. But again, he's going to have to win a couple of games down the stretch and show us he's a good coach and show us he can do the things that Taylor Jenkins couldn't with the offense and coaching with feel. And he's going to have to get the defense right. But, I mean, this was always my thought from the beginning of the year. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it's so weird. I guess because it's such a unique thing. We haven't experienced this. I mean, Taylor Jenkins was the head coach for Memphis. He was the 4th longest tenured head coach in the NBA. The winningest head coach in Grizzlies history, right? Like, so I didn't necessarily think coming into this year that Taylor was on the hot seat. I should have put more emphasis on the assistant coaching positions being switched, like that, because that was clearly a front office decision. Like, let these guys go and bring in new guys. I didn't put as much weight into that as I think you did and some other people on Bluff City Media did. I didn't put as much weight into that. Clearly, that was a big deal. And so I didn't think that he was on the hot seat as much as he was on the hot seat. But I think a lot of decisions that were made this year, a lot of the deficiencies that we saw with Taylor made it to where I started to realize, okay, Tuomas is going to be the guy. Like, he's going to be it, right?
And I'll say this. I am excited to see Tuomas's with a full strength roster, like his offense going. Yeah. And again, going back to like the misnomer, he's not the guy who, abandoned ball screens in the National Basketball Association's high ball screen. He wants high ball screens, and you saw that more of that against the Lakers. So I'm excited to see how that works itself out.
Last part of this, do you think that this coaching firing and then the naming Lisalo as the interim, does that change at all the calculus or whatever you feel towards what the Grizzlies might do in the playoffs this year?
Weirdly enough, I think it could be better.
You think so? Wow.
Yeah, because I don't think they were playing hard for Taylor Jenkins. I don't know. I lost faith, whatever you want to view it as. I didn't think it was heading in a good direction.
Like, I mean, I've got the game on here where it's Monday night. The Grizzlies are playing against Boston on TNT. Shout out to Pete Pranica. He's the lead guy, the lead play-by-play for TNT tonight. It's 80-75 with 6 minutes left in the third quarter right now, and the Grizzlies are playing with a level of intensity that we haven't seen in a very long time.
Right. So
John Morant is all the way back.
The timing's weird, but I think it may be better for this season. Not like make some deep run, but I think with Taylor Jenkins, they would have bowed out in the first round. And
I think so too. I think you're right. All right. Lots to talk about there, but a lot of it is speculation, even though that's fun. We don't know a whole lot about what's going on. I mean, listen, how often does an actual franchise get to announce their coaching firing and it not be shams?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they are so close vested, man. It's wild.
Well, Woj is gone. They don't want to give Shams scoops.
Last time they
did that, the Dylan Brooks thing happened.
I guess not. Crazy, though. Crazy. But let's get to the final topic of the Hot Three. Gabe, you expressed a little bit of displeasure with this, but man, this Final Four is chalky as hell, bro. What do you think? Are you excited about this Final Four?
Oh God, yeah. Like, Houston versus Duke and Auburn, Florida is gonna be awesome. Like I have no issue, and it's gonna be ratings gold. For CBS and TNT and all them, and I'll enjoy it. The only thing, and it's not even a problem. It's just like a confirmation of where we're at in college athletics. It's like the exponential divide or gap that's being created between haves and have-nots. Like that's the only thing I have an issue with. Now, here's the thing I'll say, to be fair, is like I want to see next year and the year after. Can we get Cinderellas? Can we get a sub 3 seed into the Final Four? Yada yada yada. Like this is 1 year, so I want to be clear. I want to see more of a sample size. But to me, it's always felt like that this year. But to be fair, also, the 4 teams in the Final Four, according to KenPom, since it's been a stat, are top 10 KenPom net rating.
I hated this so much. Did you know that the Elite Eight, all 8 of the teams, won the top 10 of Torvik, KenPom, all of it? I don't know if it
was Torvik. It was KenPom for sure, though.
Was it KenPom for sure? I thought it was
KenPom.
Torvik.
8. The Elite 8 were all in the top 10.
I hated that so much because
Ken Pom does well. Ken
No, I
Pom,
know.
Ken Pom
I
is-
know. I
I get it, and we hate it during the year, but in the end of the year, they usually prevail. But
They
also,
usually-
they change it every game, so it's like they can sort of boost their numbers a little bit. But whatever.
What heavyweight battles we have in the Final Four, though,
It's
right?
gonna be awesome.
Dude, Houston and Duke.
Houston's physicality versus Duke's I want to see how the youth of Duke, even though I think it's like a different type of youth.
It's a
John
different
Temple
youth, man.
And Cooper and Malawach, like it's a different type of youth, but that physicality from Houston ain't no joke. Look at what they did to Tennessee. They out Tennessee by 19 points.
Brother,
It was
put
simple.
it was easy money for
And they shoot 40% from three, and they're physical as hell, and they play great defense. They were the best defense in the country this year. Like that's gonna be a fun one. Auburn versus Florida. It's kind of funny. Todd Golden, I think, is the worst coach of the Final Four. I thought he got outcoached by UConn. I thought he got outcoached by Grant McCasland from Texas Tech. But his team's just so freaking good. They're so talented and so deep. He did a really good job of recruiting. Like, I want to see how he versus Bruce Pearl, who's had kind of like Auburn, 3 of the last 4 games of the year they lost, and they were kind of trending in the wrong direction. Like, that's going to be an interesting matchup to see who can get their shit together the most for their Final Four matchup.
Man,
but the chalkiness, though, to me, like, do you not feel the same way I do? Like, it just feels like the divide's growing.
Yeah, I guess it does. I think that. So let's look at the conferences that are in the Final Four. It's 2 SEC teams, Big 12, and Duke is ACC. Right? So congratulations to the ACC for as down as they were this year. They got
it's their only team, but
right. But I mean, still, maybe the demise of the ACC was overblown just a little bit, maybe just a little bit.
No, I think it's still there.
Okay,
but maybe Will Wade will help. Maybe
maybe Will will help with that. But I think that there is. The divide I see a lot of is in the conference alignments, right? Like the different conferences, and you see it especially in football, right? Especially in football, but
right.
Go ahead.
But that's what I was gonna say. It's like what's the word for it? I think people ignore the consolidation of power.
Mm-hmm.
Like Houston was AAC, now they're Big 12, so now they're doing things for a power conference,
right?
Like that. You get what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah.
The consolidation, it's just like, to me, that gap's just going to keep growing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel differently.
I think we'll see that a lot more so in football than we will in basketball, because I do think that there is a level of parity in college basketball that is more than in football.
Sure.
But
I heard a point made by David Cobb, who I bring on the show every Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Right.
929 FM.
Let's go. Yeah. The Gabe Kuhn Show, baby.
He said, like, he's not going to do all that as far as the conversation is concerned, because I get this point. While the powers that be, the Blue Bloods, are taking your juniors and seniors and the talent that you've developed, you can now go into the high school ranks and recruit better than you ever have. But the point I said in return is like, well, that's a never-ending cycle, because if you develop the freshmen when they're a junior or senior, or hell, if they have a good freshman year, they're taken by those schools, so you have to just keep restarting.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I want a bigger sample size. I'm not saying like college basketball's dead or the Cinderella's never going to be there, but this chalkiness I don't think is by accident.
But I don't, and I'll say this, I don't necessarily mind the chalkiness, because I do think that I'm a big fan of, like, I enjoy the Cinderella stories as much as anybody. But I do think it makes for better basketball to have, like, because you know who comes out of this Final Four as the national champion earned that shit.
Yep.
They earned it. And this to me is going to be, whoever wins the national championship this year, it will be one of the more impressive, like, battles to that national championship. And I almost think they deserve, like, they have medals with certain accommodations to it. Like you get this with a an extra level of valor to it. Like, give them the championship trophy with like an extra special little symbol on it saying,
good asterisk.
Like, hey, bro, like, congratulations. This one deserves
Who
double.
you got, by the way?
Oh, man. Okay. I picked Houston at the beginning of the season, beginning of the with my bracket. I think Houston, I think their defense is, they put you in hell, and their offense is good enough. Maybe that's even unfair to their
guys
offense.
that can go get it.
Yeah, that's unfair to their offense. Their offense is deep enough and more, and the way that they're able to score is good enough to where I think they are really, really tough to beat. I do think that it's going to be super interesting to see the matchup with Cooper Flagg versus their bigs. Like, yeah. Because they do have,
they're not big. They're not huge.
Well, and what's interesting is they talk about it a lot. They say, they talk about the Houston team. None of their bigs are over 6'8" tall, but they all have over 7 foot wingspans, and they target guys like that because it allows for them to play defense the way that they do,
and they can switch everything.
They can switch with everybody, and so I wonder what that's gonna do to Cooper. I think Cooper Flagg might be the best freshman we've seen in decades. Like, I think that dude is so good.
I'm gonna take a cop out for my winner. I think it'll be Houston, but I think whoever wins Duke, Houston's gonna win.
I do wonder, like, I think Florida is really, really good.
You're at that point though where it's like other coaches.
Yes.
I think they scheme their ass off. They know late game situations. They've been there.
Janai Broome is definitely prohibited by his injuries. He's got some injuries right now that I think are going to make him struggle against the Florida front court. But that front court matchup between Chaney Johnson, Dylan Caldwell, Janai Broome with Auburn versus
Yellow.
Yes, thank you. And the other guys,
Condon.
Yes, Condon, yes. And the other guy, the blonde-headed kid,
mm-hmm.
That is going to be a fantastic matchup. Like, I'm really excited about that.
I think it'll be ratings gold.
I think Florida will probably beat Auburn because I just don't necessarily think Auburn has been that impressive this year. The back half of this conference schedule.
Still in the Final Four, though, right?
Oh, they're still the Final Four. They're still nasty. I think it's going to be Houston and Florida, and I think Houston will win the national championship.
Good, and that would be.
And shout out.
I know we're Memphis fans.
Man,
I want it for Kelvin Sampson. I do.
He is one of my favorite coaches in the entire world.
I see Penny Hardaway trying to emulate him more and more every day.
Yes.
And that to me is a positive thing.
And I like that a lot.
Yeah, 100%.
I love Kelvin Sampson.
Now let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Make sure to like, subscribe, do all that. Leave a comment right here under our podcast on the Bluff. You can find it on Believe in the Bluff City Media Podcast Network. Check out all the other podcasts as well, and the articles. Go to bluffcitymedia.co. But you know what? I think Christian will be back next week, but you'll see all three of us in all likelihood for episode 122 next week. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to On the Bluff. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. Head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co for comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports and how you can become an insider.